We're going to go a little bit further than the way that Scratch expects you or is set up to be used. We're going to take a little bit of a step further here and use sort of something that you would use more in professional game development. It's called a game loop, and a game loop is, well, let me show you. We are going to not actually put the logic for the main game in Bat or Bear. I'm actually going to put it into Backdrop. So I've clicked on the backdrop. There's currently no code here. And the backdrop, we're going to actually start the game. So when the green flag is clicked, we're going to do something that says, let's just start off with a forever loop. So we're just going to have the bat attacking and the bear attacking, or the enemy attacking and the player attacking over and over and over again. So I would want to put that block, bat attacks and then the block bear attacks up there. But we have a little bit of a problem in Scratch with this is if we go down to my blocks, you'll see we don't actually have access to any of that code because we're on a different sprite. We're on the background. So we actually have to send a message to one of the other sprites. So if I go down to events, and I'm going to actually broadcast something and wait for it to be completed. And then once it's been completed, the code will continue. So I'm going to broadcast and I'm going to make a name for this message. So let's call it enemy attack. Broadcast enemy attack. Well, actually, let's make it even more. Um, let's make it even more specific. Let's say time for enemy attack. I want to make it really clear we're not actually causing the enemy attack. We're just sending out a message like, hey guys, it's time for the enemy attack. Okay. After that's finished, I can just right click and duplicate here. I'm going to broadcast another message, which is time for player attack. And then so basically, and wait for that to be finished. And so basically, when the green flag is clicked, we're just going to have an enemy attack, a player attack, enemy attack forever. Now that's not going to make the perfect game, but we can fix that up a bit later as we go. So the question then is over at the bat when it receives the message, we're not going to well, to be honest, we can leave that when the green flag is clicked, reset the values. But the attack is only going to happen when we receive that message. So if I go to control events, and there's a when I receive the message, time for enemy attack, then I'm going to attack. It's pretty simple, right? And if I go over to the bear one, again, I'm not going to attack straight away. I'm going to say yeah, thanks. Yeah. When I receive time for player attack, then the bear is going to attack. Okay. So let's run that and see if it works. I'll get rid of that. So it inflicts 19 damage. Now it's obviously clicked over to my attack, so I'm going to use Stomp. Now I just made that up. I could have put anything in there. It inflicts 20 damage. The evil bat's going now, etc. Now it's asking me. I'm going to use Bite. It inflicts 17 damage. Evil Bat uses Flap. It inflicts 8 damage. Now I can see there's a little bit of a typo there I need to fix at some point. I'm going to use Hit. It inflicts 15 damage. Now the enemy's health is now at -7 here. However, it's just continuing to go because if we go back into here, our game logic is in the loop. Our game loop is a forever loop. Now that's probably a little bit silly. So let's fix that now. So we can actually, instead of using a forever loop, we can go back and take um, a probably a repeat until loop. I'm just looking to see if there's anything better than that. Yeah, okay. So basically we're going to repeat until, well, I mean, think about this situation. We'll repeat it until the health is 0 of one of the characters, right? So if I go into the green operators one here, I can say, let's say, repeat until, I can go into variables, repeat until the player health is less than 1. Not less than 0, it needs to be less than 1. If it's the player health is less than 1, then we're not going to do this anymore. But also, we also have to take into consideration, I'm just right-clicking here, the enemy health. We don't want to continue if the enemy is less than 1 either. So repeat until the player health is less than 1, or until the enemy health is less than 1. Where did you go? And then, of course, really super important, I'm going to test that. But before I do that, I might just create a new. No, I'll go test that over here. So Evil Bat uses Flap. It inflicts 7 damage. Big Bear uses Stomp. It inflicts 8 damage. Now, to be honest, this is going to take a while. A really good way of testing stuff like this is you can actually change the values to be something like 20 each for testing purposes, and then you can change it later. So if you look in here, I've actually changed those values just for the moment, the initial values, the reset values, which is run at the start of the game here. And I'm just going to save it. By the way, I always forget to do that. Now let's run this test mode. Evil Bat uses Flap. It inflicts 7 damage. I'm going to use Hit. It inflicts 11 damage. Evil Bat uses Vomit. It inflicts 14 damage. And I'm going to use Hit as well. It inflicts 19 damage. And you can see the game has just stopped because we're both dead. There was one more problem with that. Even though I was less than 0, if I go back here, it still ran here, and it sort of makes sense because it only does the check here, and then it'll broadcast time for enemy attack and time for player attack. But we don't want the player attack to go if I'm dead. So what I might do is I might just get an if statement and put that in here. And I'm only going to run the player attack if I'm still alive. So that would be if player health is bigger than 0. Okay, so that should fix that situation. The final thing we can do here is work out underneath here, and I'll leave this up to you. What happens at the end of the game is that you could broadcast a new message. So, for example, you could broadcast a message, game over, when that happens. And then in every sprite, you could have it behaving differently in ways when the game is over. But I'll leave that up to you to have a bit of a play around with. Of course, don't forget to save.